Okay, this video is going to explain how to grow new plants using peat pellets. This here is what a peat pellet looks like before you add water. And the cheapest place I found to buy these was on Home Depot's website. And I ended up paying 7 cents a piece for these, and that included the shipping. And on Home Depot's website, it also includes this tray with the lid for that same price, which I'm going to show you here in a couple minutes. So the first thing you do is lay your peat pellets into the tray, and then you just have to add warm water to make them expand. And instead of using water, a good thing to use is this tea right here. You can buy this at Walmart for about $2 a box, and you just use 1 tea bag into 2 cups of water, and you can actually dump it onto peat pellets while it's still warm, because it's recommended that you use warm water anyhow when you expand your peat pellets. And what this tea does is that it prevents mold from forming on your peat pellets while your seedlings grow. And then once you add water to it, they will immediately start to expand. And then you just make a little hole in the center, and you'll put your seed in there. And then you'll cover it up with the plastic lid, just like this. And let it sit in a dark spot for a couple days. And once the seedlings start to sprout, you want to take your lid off, otherwise they tend to die right away. So once you take your lid off, this is what they're going to look like in a couple of days. Right here. You can see how those peat pellets expanded up after you added that water. And another thing that I do as a precaution for the mold, after I set my seed in there, is I sprinkle cinnamon on top of the peat. And that's supposed to be another thing that prevents the mold from forming on top of there. And then once they sprout up like this, you know, I already said take the lid off. Then what you want to do is either set it in a window or under a fluorescent light, because they're going to need sun once they emerge from the peat pellet. Also, another thing that I found, that you want to keep these kind of moist, but when you water them, you want to water them from the bottom and not the top. So what I ended up doing, works good for me, is I went to the drugstore and I just bought an empty syringe like this, and when I go to water them, I just water them down at the base, just like that. Okay, now if you look at the empty tray, every spot is actually connected. So theoretically you could just dump water in one corner and everything should get water. But the problem that I notice is that the pellets that are closest to the water are going to absorb all of it, and the rest of them won't get any. So I found it better just to use my syringe and just water them one at a time, or one row at a time. And usually I water them about every other day. For a tray full like that, I'm usually adding about 2 cups of water every other day. And you can use regular water, or you can mix up another batch of that tea. It won't hurt them at all. And just water them with that tea. And then let them grow in here for a couple weeks. And once the roots start poking out of the peat pellet, then it's time you can transplant them into something bigger, a bigger pot, or into the ground, or into your hydroponic setup. So there you have it, growing with peat pellets. And remember to use tea to water them, and sprinkle cinnamon on top, and that'll prevent mold from growing on top of there. Another thing that I tried on this batch right here is after they expanded up like this, before I put my seed in there, I took a razor blade and went around each one of these along the top, and I just cut off the excess material so that nothing was hanging over into the top that would get into the way of the seedlings, or cause any issues there. And that seemed to work out pretty well. You don't have to do that. It's just something I did to try to clean things up a little bit. Now you want to get into the habit of just leaving these in the tray until it's time to move them, because they are expanded, and once you pull them out of their slot, they won't really go back in there enough to get liquid when you water them again, because they won't sit all the way down at the bottom. So once they sprout, just leave them in there, wait till the roots expand past the peat pellet, and then transplant them into something bigger. Keep them under a grow light or in a window until then. That's it.